website, joining us on Twitch, everyone out there. We're here back with State of the BFC once again. This is season 4. We had a little bit of a break. We haven't had an episode since pretty much right before the playoffs of season 12 for Star Wars Battlefront 2. So we just wanted to have a new episode focusing on the new tournaments that we've been doing for the new game. We are going to fill you guys in on everything that's happened since our last episode. We're gonna leave it up to Wicked to do that. Then we have also joined by two wonderful guests today. We have Roach Class from SC and we have Cappy from R. I will be interviewing them. We'll also have a segment where Bomber will go over some patch notes for the new game. And we're gonna round out by talking about our tournament on this game, some interesting matches that have happened so far, and stuff like that. So first of all, we're gonna throw it over to Wicked. Wicked is gonna bring us up to date on everything on the BFC that's happened since our last episode, which is basically the season 12 playoffs. Wicked?
All right. And as Mike said, the last time we had a show, we were just leading into the season 12 playoffs. And we had a new feature where we had a gauntlet where teams would compete to get that fourth playoff spot to go into the semifinals of the bracket. And the first match of that gauntlet was actually a tiebreaker between EU and R. And R had a really shaky start at the beginning, like very much in last place, and they were able to claw their way back up while EU was staying steadily around that spot all season. So
Right.
it
I
was a
definitely
good.
would say you guys turned it around as the season went on, where EU was always in that sort of area, and then you guys agreed to have a play into the last gauntlet spot. That's what
Yeah,
happened.
because we were at a pretty much dead. Actually, I think we were at a dead tie.
I think you
So
tied in points. Yeah.
yeah, so we had a tiebreaker match to see who would compete for that last playoff spot, and R rather convincingly won 3-1. However, EU wasn't even a pushover in that match. Really, they put up some good fights, and some maps were close, but ultimately we came out 3-1 in a best of five. That led to us playing Millennium in the next round in the Gauntlet,
Right.
which
And
Millennium.
a lot of people would have had Millennium winning that. I know a lot of people were thinking that Shocker was going to come through and carry, but it didn't go that way, did it, Wicked?
Yeah, you had joined the Shocker hype train
I
yourself,
definitely did.
and but they actually we beat them 3-1 as well, and they had put up a much better fight. It almost went 2-2 for a best of five, and then it would have been decided. But R had pulled it together on Mos Eisley and was able to overcome that little hiccup we had in that match, and was able to win that 3-1 as well.
Right.
But that came.
I'd say a big factor in that match, actually, if you asked a lot of people about that match, they'd say everybody would say the big factor was Stern was able to headshot Shocker when Shocker was getting awards like several times, like maybe 3 or 4 times, I want to say, throughout that match, which was like
Yeah,
really important to do that. So,
extremely key. Yeah, and then that took us to R versus STR, which was, in my opinion, the best Battlefront match that I've ever seen or played. It was
that
just
was a close
intense
one.
all the way through, and I would recommend that for anyone to watch a quality Battlefront 2 match. Just the R versus STR match was incredible. Ultimately, STR came out 3-2 ahead to get that fourth playoff spot, but it was just such a close match. Both sides were incredibly even, and everyone put up probably their best match of the year.
Hmm. Do you remember what the last deciding map was, Wicked?
It was that Star Capture the Flag where
Oh, okay.
they had gotten a quick lead, and we had returned rather quick ourselves, but then they just sealed the deal not too much later.
Right. Well, I know JJ loves Death Star and always did good on that map, so
Yeah.
um, definitely one of their stronger maps.
Yeah, then that led into the semifinals where we had two matches going on. We had the number one seed MOH versus the number four seed that had competed for that STR. And that match was, I believe, that was rather one-sided for MOH. I don't recall too much about that match, but I did know MOH won that, and I think rather convincingly.
I don't know the final map score, but yeah, MOH was able to bring out the win.
Yeah,
Um, I think well, actually, I think both of the semifinals were kind of one-sided. I'm not too
yeah,
sure.
because LSJ and Bot had played the other side of the bracket,
Right.
the number two and three seed, and that was very uh, LSJ sided. And
I think that was a 3-0, if I remember
yeah,
correctly. I didn't play in
you
it, but I think it was a
you
3-0.
guys had a perfect season going into that, if I recall.
No, no. You mean like perfect regular season? No,
Yeah,
no,
no,
no, no. We had losses in the regular season. We lost to a few teams. I think we were
was Bot
28
one of
and
them?
13.
Bot was one of them, right? They
No.
came close. They came
Yeah.
close.
Oh,
They were
yeah. Yeah.
almost the first team to take you
Bot
down.
was the first one of the first teams. They was actually like came down to like a crazy reinforcement match on
Hmm.
Mustafar where both teams had extremely low
Yeah,
reinforcements. But no, they actually didn't beat us in the regular season. But
yeah.
had they probably played us the closest without beating us. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
so Bot came really close to beating you guys, and you guys had a ridiculous score. So it was
Yeah.
almost favored to beat you, but Bot could have taken it if they played well.
Oh,
But
they definitely could have. Yeah, it definitely wasn't like it would have been like it wasn't mind blowing if they could have won. Like it would. It was predicted to be close. It just didn't happen to go that way.
yeah, then that ultimately came down to the MOH and LSJ final, which was so hyped between Lack's team, even though he was formerly on LSJ,
Correct.
and he had MOH revived with Shot Down and Iceman and some key players over there.
Hmm.
So it was looking like to be a really hyped game, except it was delayed about 6 months.
Right. So the problem always is some of the players are students and have to be at school, aka Scars and Shot Down. So there's always some delays when those two are in the finals, and it happens a lot that coincidentally they're usually in the finals. But
Yeah,
so eventually it got played though.
yeah.
Um,
And that was played this past month at the beginning of January,
right.
where you had stepped in for one of the LSJ players that couldn't make it, so it wouldn't be scheduled for May.
Right. Unfortunately, Crossfire was unable to play on that day, so I had to come in and play a class that I am not very familiar with whatsoever, but it
Mhm.
wound up working out.
Yeah, you guys still took the title 3-0,
Yep.
rather
Uh,
convincingly as well.
yeah, I mean the maps within themselves were, other than Coruscant, were close. Like Polis could have gone their way, but thankfully we were able to close things down. Naboo was close, but yeah, we were able to win within the maps. They were close except for Coruscant.
Yes, ultimately the season 12 playoff win went to LSJ again, so you got the most wins in BFC, I'm assuming.
I believe so. I believe that is the most championships to a single clan, but keep in mind there might be members that change clans and then
Yeah, that's true.
yeah.
Uh,
Okay, well, thank you for bringing us up to date, Wicked. We got to reminisce about Battlefront 2, but now it's time to move on to the new games. So around approximately in the beginning of February, DICE thankfully added private servers to Battlefront 3. So here we are. The BFC is a thing. Now that we have private servers. So I have first, I'm going to interview Roach. He's on Team SC, one of the top teams in the tournament, currently in the winners semifinals. Um, so, Roach, how's it going?
Good. How's everybody doing?
We're doing great. So the first thing I wanted to talk to you about, so I don't know if I read it on your Twitch bio or X Shots, but I've read that you guys played a lot of SOCOM, and you guys have mentioned this to me before as well. You've been playing SOCOM for like a very long time. What other games have you played competitively other than SOCOM?
Minus the SOCOM. I mean, I played SOCOM 2, 3, Confrontation, and SOCOM 4. But other than those, I've played almost all the Call of Duties competitively on game battles. Rainbow Six Vegas 1 and 2. I was in the number one game battles teams. Grand Theft Auto 4. I was in the number one game battles team. Myself and X Shot, we led a clan called Team Hawk on Metal Gear Online 1 to number one, and we were considered the best on that game. And we played a bunch of other competitive games on game battles like Ghost Recon and
Hmm.
The Last of Us. SC is known for The Last of Us on another website as being probably the best clan to play it.
That's
So
so a lot of shooters, pretty much the entire SOCOM series, the entire COD series, and various other shooters too. So after playing all those other shooters and things like that, do you feel that anything has maybe transferred over from SOCOM or just transferred over from those other games in some way, or maybe some small things that have helped you out in Battlefront, or maybe not?
being playing SOCOM for so long. I'm a third person shooter type of person.
Hmm.
So when I found out that Battlefront you could play it in first person or third person, that kind of drew me in automatically. And
Right.
playing the games for so long third person, I know I just have a feel for the character and how you can look around walls and see
Right.
more than what you could with first person.
Okay. Is that something? Is that also something that would come into play in SOCOM, like being in third person, be able to peek around a corner with third, and then
SOCOM didn't have first person; it was only third person. But it was the
okay.
same. It was the same aspect. If you went to like a wall, you could move your camera around it to see,
I
further
see. Okay, so that's
further
like
down.
pretty much
So
carries over exactly. Like that's pretty much a thing that happens in both games, pretty much the same. So I could see that helping you.
yeah,
Um,
yep.
okay. So did you play either of the original Battlefront games, like Battlefront 1 or Battlefront 2?
I did not know.
Hmm. Okay, so then what made you decide to buy this game?
Xshot was the first one that I knew to get it, and he was streaming it one day, and I was in his chat, and I'm like watching it, and I had my doubts at first, and then I kept watching him for like another few days, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna get it. He told me it was worth it, and I've known him since 2004, and I mean, I
Right.
could take his word for it, and I got it, and I enjoy it. I'm
Yeah.
glad I got it. It's fun, especially with EA and Dice putting out free maps and making more balances and patches, and then the DLCs to come. It's gonna be interesting.
So, did he play? Well, what made him decide to get it? Do you know? Did he play the original games?
I don't. He might have played one of them. I'm unsure, but I
Okay,
don't know what made him get it. I think he was watching somebody stream it as well,
I see.
and that's what made him get it.
Okay. Well, with your so it seems you've enjoyed your experience so far, but what do you think that Dice or EA could do to improve the game or make it more fun and or competitive?
I think I think they have to try and make a balance for the star cards. Some of them are a little overpowered in
Right.
in my opinion. I feel like such as explosive shot or the shields, they have to be able to counteract them somehow rather than just say like the cycler rifle or ion shot or ion grenades. Because I mean, if you're playing drop zone and there's shields allowed, I mean, it just the match is just everybody popping shields and
Right.
going for the pod. But I mean,
Yeah.
you figure out how to you figure out how to deal with it and overcome it. But I mean, I just feel like if they could balance out the star cards a little bit, it'll be good. I think all the guns are pretty good.
Yeah.
The pistols, I think they have a little too much range at times.
Mm.
Yeah.
But other than that, I feel it's pretty good. The maps are all relatively good. The new map that just came out a few days ago, I'm really not that much of a fan of it. But
Yeah. I can't quite tell if I love it or hate it yet, but it's definitely different. That's for sure.
yeah, I feel like I don't know, like the top portion of it is so open, and then you go down below, and it's the tunnels. I feel like just the bottom portion could have been a map in itself.
It's weird. Yeah.
But I mean, I guess you got to play it. Once you learn it, learn how all the tunnels go and where you can go, it'd probably be better. But I enjoy it. I mean, can't complain. EA put it out for free, so
Right. Yeah, I definitely agree with you that the guns are like sort of closer to each other than the star cards. Like the star cards almost have like a stratosphere of like you can definitely tell when things are a must take, and it happens way more often. Whereas a gun isn't necessarily a must take. Like I don't think we've seen four teams all running the same gun constantly. That doesn't usually happen, but with hands and stuff, that can happen more frequently. So I agree with you about that. But so, all that in mind, how do you think the tournament has gone so far for your team? Was there anything another team has done against you guys that have surprised you?
so far it's going pretty well. We haven't dropped a map yet, and we're in the semifinals, I think.
Winter semis, yep.
Winter semis, so it's going pretty good. Nothing's really surprised us that teams have done because we played some matches where star cards are allowed or triangle cards, as people call them, are allowed. And playing game battles, there is no rules, so we kind of we kind of expect that some teams are going to want to play with them and some teams aren't.
Hmm.
So nothing's really surprised us because we've played with star cards and it's just been so far so good. Hopefully, we can continue with our match on Tuesday against Jakku's Warriors and get a spot in the finals.
So, you feel that game battles having no rules has helped you prepare for people who want to do anything goes, pretty much? Like, if a team wants to do start like shields and stuff like that, game battles has prepared you for that?
Yeah, because game battles, like I said, there's everything goes. There's nothing's banned. So when teams want to play with that, we're kind of ready for it. A certain few of us, they use shields. I personally don't, but I mean, the triangle cards are allowed. There's a few people on our team who use them, and we just play with what we have.
Okay. Has there been anything like super cool moment that you remember, like getting a midair kill or something epic, some really clutch pod cap or some specific moment that you remember from your matches?
There was one, I think it was on Raider Camp against, I want to say LSJ, I think. Touch My Wookie. They were about to get a pod. It was like the ring was, it was all blue, it seemed like, and Wookie got it and activated it for us, and we actually ended up getting that pod back from them, which was, I mean, we didn't think we were going to get it, but I don't know what he did. He like jump packed in and just landed right on it. I mean, it was just like perfect. And we were all kind of like speechless in chat. We were like, wow, he actually got it.
Yeah, that's pretty always awesome. Like when you think, oh, I'll give up on that pod, they definitely got it, and then your teammate's able to get in there and just hold square. It stops the meter so that your team can actually get the comeback on that pod. It's always awesome when that happens. So like, were you guys going crazy? Like, how is the team environment in your call usually? By the way, like, I'm sure that moment you guys must have been hyped, but overall, in general, how is it like when you guys talk to each other? Like, what's the voice chat like?
During matches, I mean, we're all. I mean, there's a lot of energy in the
Hmm.
chat. I mean, we always want to win, and we do. I think what's the best with us is our communication. We're very good with call outs and who's going to go where and who's going to get the pod and how we're going to set up for it. But other than that, I mean, there's times where we're all joking around and just taking shots at each other, and I mean, it makes it enjoyable. It kind of eases
Right.
it through rather than being serious all the time.
Yeah, I'm sure that helps. And also like being in the lead, I'm sure you guys can like relax more because you're so in the lead usually because of how well you guys have been doing. Um,
Yeah, I mean,
so
there's been a few matches where it's been we played a few maps that have been close, and it's been just the same thing. I feel like the communication with us is just so good when we have to
right.
communicate well. There's very few times where we're down in pods to where there's a sense of urgency. So kind of just kind of just goes smooth.
That's good. That's always a plus. What about before a match? Would you guys do anything like specific to prepare before a match?
We don't prepare in any specific way. Before, I mean, if we have a match, we just kind of play a few public matches, a blast, and just to get a shot that like our shots down, because half of us are playing Call of Duty or playing a different game,
Right.
so we kind of just got to get the feel for the game again. We really we've actually never have gone over like strategies in a private lobby where we started up a map and like went over strategies. We kind of just play it as it comes and just go from there. We kind of just adapt to how the map unfolds as it's going.
Okay. What about other? So, are you guys SC as a group other than you and Xshot, but the other teammates as well? Are you guys a clan on other teams currently, and are you guys still playing other games as a team?
We have a Call of Duty Black Ops 3 team. We play on the team ladder, and we play on the doubles ladder. Me and Fantastic Man usually. Other than that, right now there's no other games that we're playing competitively, minus Star Wars and Call of Duty.
Okay.
But like I said, I've played competitive games with Xshot since 2004 on a bunch of them. And Fantastic Man and Arsenic Underdash and Hassan, I met them probably a few years ago playing Last of Us. And I've been playing with them guys ever since on
All right.
Last of Us from there. So
That sounds awesome. Good that you guys are able to like organize and just you found a group that you are able to stick with over multiple shooters over multiple years. So that's probably to your guys' advantage. Lastly, is there any like shout outs or thank yous you'd like to give as we finish up here?
I just want to thank the SWBFC website for hosting the tournament and giving us a competitive environment to play the game, other than game battles where it's just a ladder. Having a tournament feel is it makes it more enjoyable, and we look forward to playing all the teams hopefully, and playing our next matchups on Tuesday. So we're just getting ready for that.
All right. Well, we wish you good luck with that, of course. Stick around. Uh, Cappy, I'm gonna ask you some questions next.
Cool.
Um, so my first question for you, how about you? Did you play either of the original Battlefront games?
I did. I originally fell in love with the first one, Battlefront 1. I specifically remember playing Yavin many, many times for hours. And when I heard the second one was coming out, I would just go on their website and they had this little countdown ticker that would just count down the minutes, hours, days, etc. until the game came out. And when it finally came out, I remember waking up before school and playing it before school at like 6 in the morning. So, yeah, I've always been a fan of the Battlefront games and the Battlefront series. Um,
Awesome.
yeah.
So then I'm sure that love for the series is that what made you decide to play this game? I'm sure it's because of the previous games, right?
Right, right. Yeah, it's definitely true. Always was a fan of the first two, and definitely was a fan of Battlefield as well. Always loved the big map, competitive kind of conquest games, and so I was very excited that Dice was actually going to create it. Obviously, EA wasn't too great to see attached to that,
Right, right.
but the game, I think it's shaping up to become something we all were expecting, or at least what we wanted. Obviously, there could have been more content, but I'm excited for the future. These new maps they've been releasing
Yeah.
have been pretty sweet.
They're definitely working at it. I'd say they're definitely increasing the content in the game as time goes on. That's to be expected, but I think things are getting better.
Right.
What about you? What do you think could be improved upon? Like, what could DICE or EA do to make the game more fun or competitive?
Well, I think the biggest issue that's been striking me, and it's probably everyone too, is obviously the balancing issues in pubs.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, it's bad. I was just playing before this, and I was just playing on Turning Point with a squad of mine, and it's fun and all, but we were just like steamrolling over our opponents. So it would be nice to see some balancing issues take place there. I think people who pick up the game could really benefit from that, and not just get turned off by playing the game and then just getting steamrolled by opponents. There also
Yep.
could be a better private match setup. I think there's been many times where it's taken at least 30 to 45 minutes just to get a match going. You have
Hmm.
to promote the leader of a game, and then he's got to invite his friends, and so it's a process. So I think I should definitely look into that, fix some things there. I think they should also cater the game towards competitive players. Now that it's been released for a couple months, we're starting to see, things like private matches come out, so that's good at least. But I think they've improved a lot since it's been released, for sure.
Yep, I would definitely agree with you about the everything you said pretty much. Definitely private matches like there's issues with getting things to start. Like sometimes things freeze, sometimes lobbies can't start, sometimes the invites break. So yeah,
Oh
that
my
would be
god.
I just think the more options they give us for the private lobbies, the better, pretty much.
Right.
And the team balancing issues, obviously, I don't know what they need to do, but there's definitely problems where if all of us go into like a match as a group or as a party of like six or whatever,
Right.
like the other team winds up quitting, and that always sucks.
Exactly.
So hopefully they can figure out something to sort of counteract that.
I agree.
Um, so what about the tournament matches that you guys have played so far? How has everything gone for R, do you feel? And was there anything that another team did against R that surprised you?
Yeah, man. I mean, this tournament's definitely been a surprise for sure. There's been a lot of good competition. Every game I think we've played has been pretty close. Even if it's a 5-2 in terms of caps, there's always been good competition. But I wouldn't say there's something that really surprised me.
Mhm.
Maybe expectations versus reality, thinking a team was going to come in and really give us a good competition and maybe not turn out so much that way. But I think the way we like to prepare for our matches, it's proven the way we play in our games.
Okay, cool. Do you think you have any like moment you want to talk about? Anything specific that you remember that was clutch and awesome?
I do, and I'm sure Wicked could chime in on this if he ever wants to,
Go for it if he
because
wants to. Yeah.
he was there. But this happened. I think this happened 2 days ago. Luckily, it was streamed with all of our voices being recorded because this was just a magical moment, and I haven't felt like this since I was like in high school. But one of our members, Fever Kid, we were playing against OG on Sulfur Fields, and we were up 4-2, and we pretty much were pretty confident,
We're
and
up
we are
4-1, actually.
yeah 4-1. So
Jeez.
even more stakes raised. Um, we won the first match, so that we just needed to wrap this up and put the match in a bag basically. And one thing turned to another. They got some good spawns and some pods, and they caught up to us. It was about 4-4, and there was about a minute left, and so the last pod drops down, and we're determined at this point, but also a little nervous.
Hmm.
And so it's the clock's ticking down. It's 4-4, and so there's about 15 seconds left. And me and Wicked, we just died. Our third teammate, Chris Uska, he just died. So our jetpacks were still loading up. We couldn't use them just yet. And Fever was just like super quiet the whole time. We're all stressed out. He comes in, he jetpacks, and there's like 15, 14. It's clock's ticking down. He comes in, and I swear, I thought this was over. I was like, okay, we're gonna have to play game three. And he comes in, and he caps it, and he's all like super quiet about it. He's like, yeah, I got it. It's cool. And I explicitly remember Wicked screaming, "Please be the MVP of this tournament!" as soon as he got it, because we really didn't want to go to that game three. But yeah, that was definitely probably the most memorable moment of the tournament so far. Awesome.
Yeah, I actually was watching that moment myself, and it would have been pretty interesting had you guys gone to game three because you guys definitely had the momentum going into the second map and throughout most of the second map, but then OG was starting to pick up a crazy amount of momentum
Right.
until Sniper made that play, pretty much.
Oh, it was
So,
unbelievable.
yeah, definitely a cool moment so far. Um, what about before a match? What does R do typically before a game? And Wicked, you can talk about this too if you want.
Yeah,
Sure.
I mean, I'd say we're definitely we're laid back. Yeah, also at the same time, I think we're very competitive players. Wicked and myself, we've had many conversations of how competitive we are just in general in life about whatever. Um, but we all get along really well, and usually we make sure we can scout the other team's strengths and at least try to suit their weaknesses to our advantage. We also like to play scrims with fellow people in the BFC community. That's always great. And we strategize. We might go to certain maps and find cool spots that we think are good defensively. But
Yeah,
yeah, we could you can chime
I was just gonna say that this tournament in particular, I've been more passionate about this than anything because I just want to almost prove ourselves as a team. But it's just most of our preparation. What I do is I look, and if there's I usually look into the teams a bit and see what they're good at, what they're not, and I try and build a plan the best around it as I can. But the team works extremely well together for how short we've been together.
in.
Roach had mentioned, he's known guys since 2004.
Yep.
Just this month, I had gotten Fever on the team, and I had picked up Cappy off of Reddit. And it's like just these guys mesh so well together. I was really almost surprised of how well everyone's doing and performing. Uh, that it's like we have this strength that we can all trust each other, and we've just almost met each other, and that
Yeah,
really plays.
definitely crazy that that happened. You just were able to
And
pick up new people and it's working out.
Yeah.
and that really plays into our strategizing because we can trust each other to do our individual job in the match, and we know what to go, and we know what to do going into it.
Right.
Okay. What about so during a match? I know I've watched a couple streams, but what is the voice chat like overall? How's the energy level? Are
Oh
you guys
man,
more calm, and relaxed, or is everybody yelling, or how does
we
it go?
sound like a bunch of animals. To tell you
Okay.
the truth. No, there's definitely lots of communication, myself included. I definitely, yeah, Wicked's definitely number one on callouts. We definitely lots of communication. We try to leave everything in. We don't leave anything out. We try to make sure everyone really knows what's going on, so no one feels isolated. We want to make sure everyone knows what's going on, where everyone is, where everyone's dying, where everyone's spawning, who we're shooting at, et cetera, et cetera.
Hmm.
And I think one unique thing about our team is we all really carry each other. There's not one gunner. We all complement each other in our own strengths.
That sounds beneficial for your team that everyone's always informed and you all like have that bond together to do that. Um, so you came over to our site from Reddit. Were you playing in other clans or teams on other games before you had found us on Battlefront?
Um, I'd say a couple of years ago, like 2009, 2010, I had a clan of my own that was more Call of Duty based.
Okay.
It it wasn't so much Battlefront or anything like that, but it was Call of Duty 4, and then a little bit of Ghost Recon as well. But not really, not too many clans.
Okay. And then lastly, is there any final shout outs you'd like to give to anyone in particular or anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, for sure. I'd like to thank you guys, the BFC environment, for setting all this up. When I bought this game, I never really thought about the competitive aspect of it until stuff like this arose. And when it did, I was super happy because I've always been a competitive person myself. So I always want to thank you guys. And I want to thank my buddy Wicked here for bringing me onto the team since I'm a random from Reddit. Never really thought of ending up on a team, and it's worked out really well so far. So, yeah.
Awesome. I'm glad it worked out for you. So stick around. I think now we're going to throw it over to Bomber, and he's going to talk about the latest update to the game, which happened in February, and he's going to get opinions from all of us about what we think about the various changes.
Yeah, well, the main thing about the February patch is obviously the new map that they added, and we got Roach's opinion and Mike's opinion, but what about Cappy? What do you think about the new map, and how do you think it plays into competitive play, and
Hmm.
do you think it needs to be changed, or is it what's wrong with it?
Um, I mean, it's not catered toward this tournament, but I think the map is designed very great. It's really greatly designed for Walker Assault in its own right. I haven't dabbled too much of it for Drop Zone, but I have noticed there are a lot of choke points. There are a lot of choke points where one team can just continuously steamroll the other team. Um, I'd say it's great for Turning Point. I'm not sure how I feel about it for smaller modes, but for big modes, I'm a fan of it myself.
All right.
What I'd personally say on it, if I could chime in, is that I think that it's a well designed map, as Cappy said, for bigger uh, games. I think even in 8v8 drop zone, there's so many like different flank routes and areas of the map that it would be great if there were like people that could cover every entrance. But if you have like a 4-on-4 tournament, like what we're doing for the most part, I think there's way too many flanks, and not everyone can really cover everything that they're looking for with the pod, which makes it a lot harder to keep track of and defend.
Certainly. I think a big problem with the map is honestly the spawns, and it could also factor into the 44 thing you just mentioned, where there's just not enough players to populate the map.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
moving on to like the weapon changes. Now this will be good, considering before the January patch. Let's start off with the bowcaster. Before the January patch, it was obviously broken. Like especially when you kind of combined it with Bounty Hunter, and then they patched it, made it useless. Now they buffed it, but we're not sure if that's the correct buff it needed, or if they didn't buff it enough to make it viable.
Yeah.
What do you Roach, what do you think that the bowcaster needs to be like a viable option in scrims?
To be honest with you, I think I've used it 2 or 3 times before the January patch when it was overpowered. Now, I mean, I see people using it. I think to make it viable, you'd have to make it the, I guess it's the arrows or the projectiles that come off of it,
Yeah, the
the
bolts.
damage that they do higher, because unless it's a direct hit, it really doesn't do anything to you. So I think if they made the damage of them a little bit higher, or the the radius that they damage, I mean, however it works, they got to do something to where they would up the damage on it to make them, viable in scrimmages more than what they are, because I don't think I've ever seen one in a scrimmage or a competitive match.
Yeah, well, before it was the problem with it before it was nerfed in the January patch was the fact it could kill based off solely splash damage, and you didn't actually have to hit the person.
Yeah.
Now, and then when they nerfed it in the January patch, you could still body them and it wasn't killing people. Now I
Right.
think they buffed it to the fact where you can get a body shot and kill people, but it's still useless. So at this point, I really don't know what they could do to it to make it viable. I mean, it's still a kill with a body shot, but it's still not good.
Yeah.
I was doing a scrim the other day, and D Hart from BA had pulled it out, and he was rather effective with it. He actually in it was just a scrim, but he made me try it out myself. I'm personally not good with it, but think where it's at is decent. I don't think it's entirely useless because he was pretty proficient with it, but I think it could probably still have a little bit of a minor buff to it.
Okay. Um, Mike or Cappy, do you have anything for the bowcaster?
Well, you were saying that the splash damage used to be too high, and the direct damage like kind of pointless when the splash damage was too high. So maybe they should just make the make like raise the splash damage just a little bit. I think that would be an okay buff.
Okay.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with that. Pretty much what everyone said. It's pretty much useless, I think, to me at least right now. And like before they patched it, it was OP. So they just got to find a good meeting point.
Okay. Moving on to Barrage now. I have never used this card, so I know it was useless before, and it's pretty much still useless even after being buffed twice. So, anyone have an opinion on that? Like I've never.
Well, hold on. They nerfed it one time. They nerfed the cooldown
They
like
did nerf it.
Oh, they
ridiculously.
did nerf it.
Yeah, yeah,
I
one
believe they
time.
nerfed the damage as well. Could be wrong about that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never. I used it to get the. I used it to get a diorama and then put it away as fast as I could. But yeah, I don't think it's. I don't think it's that great. I still don't think it's that great. So, my
Yes,
opinion.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't even think I have it unlocked, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Well, maybe one day EA will buff Barrage and make it useful.
I think the idea of it's rather good. It can really cover a choke point well or something that you need. It's just I think the damage is minimal and the nades take a good while to go off.
Hey, it's
Yeah.
great for survival. You know, that's
Oh,
what
true.
I used it most. To tell you the truth.
Alright. Well, homing shot. Now, how do you guys stand with homing shot being a viable option? Because I personally didn't like it.
Okay, I could do. I've never thought that it was overpowered, even when it was at 0.4 seconds, because if you play in a script, like if you take homing shot against like a clan in a scrimmage, I still don't think you're going to be able to kill anybody with it, because if they see you first, you're dead. Like they're not going to get outgunned by someone who's holding down L2R2 with their 0.4 second homing shot, trying to kill someone. Like you can get behind cover, you can jetpack. There's just so many ways to avoid it, and it just takes too long. You're sitting there not outputting damage while you're trying to lock on, and then now it's up to 1.2 seconds. Like I just don't think it'll ever be used like in a smaller team scrimmage. Like it might be used in the bigger modes, but I just really don't think it'll ever get used in the smaller modes.
I agree with you there. The couple times that I've seen it used, even in pubs, someone would have it out standing there, and they'd probably have it out for a little bit, and I'd kill them, and at worst we would trade. So
Right.
if I was, if that was a more competitive match, maybe you'd get a trade off with someone, but I don't think a trade is really a viable star card option when you can have an ion nade if you have triangle cards, or another like a thermal detonator would be better than that thing realistically.
Yeah.
Takes too long.
Okay. Um. Well, the next one's Ion Torpedo, but I'm pretty sure we don't even need to mention that ever. I don't think that's gonna be ever used ever. Pulse Rifle.
Oh god.
Pulse Rifle's the one where everyone kind of wants it nerfed. Um. What do you guys? How do you guys stand on that?
I would have liked the charge time to be increased, not the movement speed while aiming decreased.
Yeah.
I feel like they broke the gun because every time I use it now, like the shot, like when I move
Yeah.
with the gun,
Yep.
it just shoots completely to the right. Like,
Yeah.
Seems like everyone's having that problem.
Right.
Yeah,
I
I've
think that
noticed.
started happening when the game came out, honestly. Well, I don't know.
No, you're right. You're absolutely
I've
right.
never really liked the gun because that happens to me, and that's really frustrating where it seems like your cursor was right over the person and the bullet will just go off to the side. And I haven't been able to consistently figure out why. I think they need to fix that first, and then they can tell if they should be. Like, it's not even at its true power level. Like, it's so random whether it's hitting or not sometimes. I mean, most of the time it works, but every now and then it's just very odd. So I think they should fix that first.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not sure if this is true, but the only success I've had with that gun is making sure I'm not touching the left trigger, making sure I'm not moving at all. Then I might see some success with it, but ever since this game came out, it's just always fired randomly for me.
I've never had a problem with it until I used to love it. I used to be able to hit all my shots, and then since this most recent patch, I don't know if it's just in my head or what, but like somebody mentioned before, my shots they just go all over the place.
No, it's not in your
Whereas
head.
Before,
It's definitely
Definitely
not in
not.
your head.
X-Shot always tells me he's like the gun's the same, like nothing has changed minus the movement speed. I'm like dude, I'm missing shots that I used to hit every time.
Yeah.
And now it's like I let go of the trigger and I see the shot go like way off, like above, like literally like 6 inches above on my screen, and I'm like, I have no idea how that happened.
Yeah,
Where-
neither do we. It's so weird. Like, I don't. They need to fix that, really. It's so odd.
and like I said before the update, I never noticed it, and
It was
I don't
there.
know what they
It might
did.
happen more now. I don't know.
yeah, maybe that was it. Because like I said before the update, there was only a few, like it was very rare where I would see that and I'd be like, I don't know how that just happened. And now it seems like it happens like half the time whenever I shoot.
Yeah, no one really has like the theory on why it happens yet. There's been a few couple different like make sure you're still scoped in when you release a trigger, stuff like that, but make sure you're not moving, I've heard. I don't know. If somebody could figure it out, let us know why that happens.
Yes, please.
Please.
alright, well, now, the last one for weapon updates is the Cycler Rifle, the one that we all want to be good, but after countless buffs, they just cannot get it right. What?
I would like to disagree respectively, just because I think when they nerfed it, it was absolutely atrocious, but it was so bad that you got used to it being bad, and so now that they're buffing it, it's almost trained you to aim more accurately. I could be wrong. I've found great success in the gun, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've had some arguments where people think the bullet should travel faster than a blaster, which does not make sense at all.
I think it's fixed,
Yeah.
or it's fixed to be a shotgun more
Yeah.
so, because within 10 meters, anywhere to the body is a nice one-shot kill that goes through personal shields.
Right.
Which I like for, it's something else you can take besides just an ion nade if you're doing everything allowed to break through a personal shield. Because as much as we love the melee system in this game,
Oh god.
Do we love it?
We do. I really don't think you. I think you want to be avoiding the melee system as much as possible. And if you have to run up and melee someone in a personal shield, probably not the greatest idea. So I think it allows someone to, and if they end up getting skilled with it, they can get those headshots at long range, but can also just blow someone up close range trying to take a pod.
I
Which,
I
okay.
just personally feel like the cycler rifle is not consistent enough to be able to take it when they're using personal shields. Like, I would just rather take an ion grenade, because to be able to like consistently hit that shot to kill the guy on the pod is just not worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it rewards those who are willing to use it. Obviously, it could hinder you a lot, but I think it has its own niche.
I think it's okay right now. Like
Yeah.
it's an okay gun. It could be better, but I think it's okay if they leave it where it is. It's all
Agreed.
right.
I personally want them to increase the damage, like make it a one-shot kill within like, I don't know, 40 or 50 meters, and then
Right.
maybe it would be something I would take.
Yeah.
Maybe that might be too much. That might make pulse cannon more irrelevant. Then though, I don't know.
I wonder what they would do, what would happen if they made it like how it was in the beta, how many people would use it again, because that was the number one
Yeah,
most
well,
used
I
gun.
think my theory is so everybody took it in the beta, but I think the only reason that happened was because it was one of the only choices, literally. Like there wasn't
That's
that many
true.
cards.
That's
And then
true.
I think since they looked at the analytics from that, like, oh look, everyone's taking Psycho Rifle, even though it's one of the only choices. And then they mistakenly over nerfed it by adding too much bullet drop. And then now they're slowly undoing that mistake. So
Right.
I think it's okay right now. It's just okay,
Yeah.
Well,
but I wouldn't take it.
well, that pretty much sums up all the weapon changes. I don't think there's anything that kind of teeters towards competitive play other than fixing droid run spawns. Like,
Oh God.
do you guys play droid run?
I haven't.
Oh man.
Not really. I'll say for the A-wing got nerfed for all you Fighter Squadron fans out there. JSA, where you at? And that's about it. For if that ever becomes a thing, A-wing is now easier to kill.
Yeah. Thank God.
Well, pre-round timer lowered bomber. That might be kind of also relevant. So like before a game, that white circle only lasts 20 instead of 30.
Yeah.
So if you're fixing your hand, you get 10 less seconds. It doesn't really matter, but whatever.
What are really quick before we hand it off back to Mike? What do you guys think? How do you guys think that the DL44 could be viable again, without being what it used to be before the January patch? Because I used the DL44 before January patch, and I would still like to use it, but it's just completely useless now.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think it's really useless. I mean, I still get killed by it quite often in public rooms. If people two-shot you. But like you said before, the January patch, I mean, that thing was just, they had to do something with it.
I think.
And like I said, I think it's still, I mean, it's still like a factor now. And if they were to do anything else to it, I really don't know what they could do. So, I mean, I personally, I think it's fine the way it is now. I don't know what everybody else thinks, though.
I have two theories for what I think might be able to help it out. The first one, and I don't know how this would be, but you could possibly increase the two-shot kill range a little bit, just to make it more of a weapon that if you can extend range and just get a quick two-shot kill with, or you could increase and you could almost de-nerf it and increase the fire rate a little bit on it and lower the recoil, which is what I think might make it viable. Either one of the two or both would probably help it a bit.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of players were saying that before the before it was nerfed, was that all you had to do was make the spread, like increase the spread of the gun, and it would still be good, but not as good. And I honestly think they should have went with that route, because nerfing the fire rate just destroyed the gun, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't used it since it's been patched, so probably true.
Alright, well, I think that covers up all the patches, so let's take it over back to Mike.
Okay, so far, I have the bracket open right now. I just want to talk about some of the more interesting or maybe close matches that we've had, and we get a couple people from two different teams in here, so we can talk about how close some of their matches were as well. Um, Basically, there hasn't been so in the first round there wasn't really anything that was too close. Bunch of 2-0s, which was kind of surprising. But so anyway, a bunch of 2-0s in the first round. The second round, we started to have some closer matches. Wicked, I know that your other team, your second team,
Mhm.
had a 2-1 match against
Yeah.
Jakku Warriors. Do you have any information about how that match went?
Yeah, I
Or
can talk about that for a bit.
okay,
After the match happened, I had brought them in and they talked about the match. But basically, what had happened is that they actually dominated the first map. I think it was a 5-2 pod cap, and it was on a map that we, as a collective team, all of R had gone over together.
hmm
And they actually won that rather convincingly. And then the next two, Rebel Depot, Jakku won rather convincingly because that was their map selection. And I think the last map was rather close for a while, but it ended up going Jakku Warriors' way. So RA at the time, and I personally think they're better than they were in that match. Really
right.
put up a decently good fight against Jakku Warriors, even though I think Jakku Warriors have also improved a lot
hmm
from that match. But I've definitely noticed improvement in RA's game, and they put up a really nice fight against Jakku Warriors.
Well, I think so too. They've played two more matches since then and won them both. But so, what did they feel like was the overall problem? They just weren't ready for Rebel Depot, maybe, or
Uh, yeah, we as a team would like to prepare for maps and get different strategies going.
yeah,
And we had just not looked at Rebel Depot, and the Jakku Warriors were also a rather good team as well. We had
yeah,
scrimmed them, and they really gave us a good fight. So it wasn't like surprising
hmm
the result, but it was definitely a close match, and both had a very one-sided game, and then the last map was close.
right. Well, I'll just say like a bit after that. So after the Jakku Warriors had beaten you guys, they went on to play our team LSJ, and they're extremely good at Rebel Depot for sure. I mean the map is set up in such a way that there's narrow choke points so that you can get destroyed. But yeah, they definitely pick it for a reason. They're good at it. So
Yeah.
that's probably why they're able to pull out the win on that map. Um, looking at some other close-ish maps here. Well, let's talk about the one that happened more recently. We've talked about it in the interview as well, but Wicked, so R versus OG.
Mhm.
Overall, I know it was a 2-0, but they
Didn't
definitely
feel
like the
like it.
momentum was swinging back and forth quite a bit, I'll say.
Yeah, basically what had happened is we had done, at least I did my research into OG a little bit. I had talked to ROR a little bit about what OG was doing, just to see, if I can get some information on them. I watched the VODs as well, and we had picked the maps on
Yep.
purpose. We had picked Dune Sea Exchange as the first map on purpose, and we did that for a couple reasons. But we knew Chris Eska likes that map a lot, and he usually goes off on it. So we thought that would also play into our theory of winning it. And we had picked that map for a reason. Ultimately, we did win that, and I think it was a 5-2, so it was pretty convincing. But they still had put up a rather decent fight on that map. But the problem with OG was when we played Sulfur Fields, because we had a 4-1 lead on them, and the RNG element of Drop Zone gave them a really decent chance to get back into it with the long spawns that are
Right.
on
There
Sulfur
was
Fields.
two beach pods in a row, and you guys kept getting the spawn, which is not near the beach at all.
Yeah.
You guys were still able to make it there in time and reset the pods. That's what I do like about Sulfur Fields is no matter where you are, you can barely get there in time.
Mhm.
Because it's not like
It's
it's like a
still not
medium
optimal,
size.
though.
Yeah, no, definitely not optimal. But yes, you guys were able to like kind of pull it back. But yeah, they definitely had the momentum
Yeah,
during.
and they
We
and they
thought it
had
was
the
over.
they had the last pod as well, with like maybe just a couple seconds before, and Fever jumps in there and takes it, and we were able to rally around that. So it was a rather close map. It very easily could have gone to a third game.
Right.
but it didn't.
Yeah, I mean, if it went to the third map, things would have been super interesting for sure. Like I was looking for. I mean, I don't know who I wanted to win, but I definitely was happy that you guys won. But I would have been even more happy to see a third close map as well. Definitely interesting so far.
Mhm.
So do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about not the matchups that have happened so far, Wicked, but the upcoming things we're looking for
Yeah.
upcoming?
We have a couple things upcoming. We have two matches set right now. The first one being SC Roach's team here versus the Jakku Warriors. They're hopefully finally going to get this ready to go on Tuesday. I don't
Right.
have a time. Roach, do you have a set time for that, or is that?
I believe it's 8:30 Eastern.
Yeah, so 8:30 Eastern. Jakku Warriors and SC are actually competing for the winners bracket final to face my team, in that, and that's going to be, I think, a good game. Both the Jakku and SC and the winner of that versus us, I think, are both going to be great games to look
Yeah,
forward to coming
I
up
think
in the
those will both
future.
be great. I have a question too. So, Roach, have you guys played Jakku Warriors in like a scrimmage or maybe on a game battles match or anything yet?
We've played them once on game battles,
And was it
and
close or
I believe it was 5-1, 5-2
okay,
on both maps that we played.
okay.
I could be wrong, but again, we were trading pods, the whole map. So, I mean, even though if it's a 5-1, 5-2 map, I mean, you're trading pods back and forth. So it's sometimes it's a little bit it's closer than what the actual ending score shows.
Okay. So I would still say you guys are tentatively the favorites in that match, but it could be closer than we anticipate, maybe. So that'll be cool. Wicked, what else do we have?
Also, another match that's set up for tomorrow. Hopefully, I know one of the members was having a PS4 issue, but the RA versus ROR match is at least right now set for tomorrow.
Okay.
And I know RA. I've been talking to them and playing with them, and it might be biased because technically they're my second team, but they're looking really strong. And I think they're almost an underdog to maybe some of the other teams in the losers bracket, but I think they
Yeah.
can really show up and perform.
I mean, they could be an underdog here. RA was able to, I mean, ROR was able to make it to winners round three, and then have been waiting in losers round three for a little while now for someone to come up. So RA has come up
Mhm.
to meet up with them. So we're looking forward to that
Yeah.
match too.
But there's a lot of matches that we're really looking forward to in the losers bracket that hopefully can get filled up soon
Right.
to compete or to catch up with the winners bracket so we can get this tournament done with.
Well, I'm looking at the bracket now, and I guess during the show, Ninja has defeated EUK 2-0, as far as I can, from what
Oh,
I can see
really?
from the bracket. It's been updated, yes.
Oh
So
yeah, it happened.
Ninja will be playing ORR at some point. That's another upcoming one.
Yeah. ORR was this is actually, I think, going to be a very close match as well because when we had played ORR, they were actually, I think they were the only team thus far to actually take a lead on us. I could be wrong. I think maybe OG might have taken the second pot on the first map first. But as far as I can remember, I know that ORR was the first and I think only team to actually have a lead over us this whole tournament. And that was nerve wracking for us because we hadn't played from behind yet, and it was I mean it was an official match, so we were really focused on that. But ORR, from what I remember, they were a really solid team, and Ninja from playing with them as well. I think they're about the same boat, so that's definitely going to be a game to watch coming up.
Okay, awesome. So the last thing we want to do is talk very briefly about the tournament that will happen after this. So obviously we're still focused on running our current tournament for now, but once the Drop Zone tournament is over, of course there will be more. The BFC was around forever on Battlefront 2, so I'm planning to do the same thing on this game. So we'll have another tournament after this one, and and so on and so forth. But the tournament after this, if you any of you who are watching right now, go to the forums. There is a poll up where you can vote for what game mode or game modes you would like to play in the next tournament. So similar to the poll we had for this first tournament where we voted on Drop Zone, we have a poll up where you can vote for Cargo, Droid Run Blast, or a mixture of multiple modes. Um,
Another like side thing, I know people have been asking about Heroes versus Villains. We think it's going to be its own thing. We're looking for people to help us run that and have it be its own like side thing. Not side, sorry, but like its own competition rather than including in this poll because we think it'll be something that happens definitely regardless of the other things going on. Another piece of news. So Delta has private chatted me something during this show, some news hot off the plate, if you will. Delta has told me that
Ooh.
there will be an upcoming tournament during a weekend. I don't have much information about this yet because Delta literally just told me, but an upcoming tournament during a weekend, which will supposedly have a prize. This is something that I'm just learning about now, so I don't have full details on it, but courtesy of Delta, there is a tournament that will happen during some weekend and it will have a prize. That's all I know. That's all I got. So think about that.
If I
Uh,
could chime in real
Ooh.
fast.
Chime in.
Sorry. But also on the same thread where you're voting for your the type of game mode you want to play. We do have a thread going for any input that you can include to make the tournament better. For a game mode that you might want to see that maybe we didn't include. We just have a lot of we have a thread going where we can communicate stuff and maybe get that implemented in the next tournament to make that better as well. So if you want to feel free and comment down there so that we can get some stuff going for that, that would be excellent and much appreciated.
And last thing, so we've only been on PS4 so far. Currently, we still wanted to include Xbox One and PC. I'll say as of right now, as of this moment, PC is closer to happening than Xbox because we feel we have a person who had. See, the problem is most of us came from PS2 Battlefront. All the people who ran the BFC in the past came from PS2, so logical jump PS2, get a PS4. So then we were all on PS4. It just so happens. But we were talking with people who have the game on PC and have the game on Xbox. We think we might have something happening on PC relatively soon. I'm talking with some people who are setting things up on Xbox as well. So we definitely want to include the other platforms. We just need to know the people and make sure we can get organized and make sure that we can deliver like an acceptable experience to those people, even though we don't have the game on those platforms. So that's the update for those platforms and the things that are coming in the future. So with that, I think we're gonna end the show. So thanks to everybody for coming on. Thank you,
Thanks, Mike.
Roach and Cappy, for being our guests and getting
Anytime.
interviewed and
Thank
talking
you.
with us. And thanks to everybody for helping put this together. I think it was good. I'm not sure when the next one will be, but we're looking at Sundays as our typical day for this. I don't know if it'll be weekly or bi-weekly yet, but keep an eye out for episode 2.
Sweet.